All right, folks. Donald, the big orange man, Trumpito Trump, has continued to bungle the efforts to help Puerto Rico. Now, mind you, Puerto Rico was devastated by a hurricane, and it is a country full of American citizens.
It is.
These are his people, but not for Trumpito.
They became American citizens, I think it was 1919, but just...
Right, 1919, folks. So that is, some stuff's gone on since then, right? All right. What did Puerto Rico ever do to DJT? On Thursday morning, the tweeter-in-chief struck again, and it wasn't pretty, continuing to show a lack of compassion and heartlessness towards the Americans suffering on the island. At 6:05 a.m., Donald Trump was up and ready with something spicy, tweeting, "Puerto Rico survived the hurricanes. Now a financial crisis looms largely of their own making," says Sharyl Attkisson. "A total lack of ... accountability," says the governor. "Electric and all infrastructure were disaster before hurricanes. Congress to decide how much to spend ... We can't keep FEMA, who have been amazing under the most difficult circumstances in Puerto Rico, forever." So, this is like Donald Trump. Like, how would you describe this? Is this victim blaming? I mean, like...
So, I mean, it is... All right. So, Puerto Rico, you have to separate the two things.
Sure.
So, Puerto Rico has bad governance. Period.
It's a fact.
Guess what?
Doesn't matter.
Louisiana also had bad governance. So did the city of New Orleans and Louisiana had really bad governance during the time, like in 2005 under Katrina.
Right.
But George W. Bush, now don't get me wrong, they flubbed the recovery. Like they flubbed the initial part of the recovery.
Right.
Until they got the general down there and they really but George Bush understood, and I was having a conversation with this about I was having a conversation about Katrina with Dana Perino, and Dana Perino said, listen, there was a lot of government failures in Katrina. A lot of it got placed at the foot of the White House, but there was municipal failures, there were gubernatorial failures, it was all the way up. But what President Bush did was took all of it. He took all the blame, but he worked until the last day in that White House to make sure they got Katrina right. And some will still argue that they didn't get Katrina 100% right. The school system's still a mess down there. They still have governance issues. But George Bush at least got the ideal that Louisiana and New Orleans and the people of Louisiana is the responsibility of the United States federal government. Period.
Right. I mean, say what you want about Bush, but I mean... He
got it. He understood it. I mean, he didn't get it perfect. I think, like I said, the education is there still messed up. There's still some lingering effects of Katrina in New Orleans. You could see it when you go down there. But the president still understood we have an obligation to the people of New Orleans to, at minimum, try to rebuild this thing. What you're seeing from Donald Trump is saying, well, if they had bad governance, whatever... Screw everything. I sent the FEMA down there, and now I'm getting ready to pull FEMA out. So the fact that Puerto Rico has bad governance is separate and apart. Elected leaders and how they manage the money of a government is one part. The fact that old women and old men and young women and young men don't have electricity, they don't have clean drinking water. The fact that you're getting, and I have text messages, because there's people on the ground. There's 40 healthcare workers who I'm connected with on the ground, Rich Webster.
Yep.
And I'm going to read you one of these, because these text messages are devastating. A text message that was sent by one healthcare worker on the ground, and excuse my language, she said this: "We need to bring out the FEMA issue. They are not visiting. People are in need. They are letting them die. I told the guy from Homeland Security about this, but he does shit. I told him since he wants numbers that we need a gallon of water per person per day. Nothing delivered from FEMA." This is from a healthcare professional who's been on the ground in Puerto Rico for the past week. She went to them and said, listen, we need a gallon of water per person per day.
Yep.
FEMA is not doing anything. This is somebody on the ground, a healthcare worker who's volunteered her time to go to Puerto Rico to help the people. First responder who he says they're doing a great job. And she's saying, we don't have enough water for people to get the basic amount of water they need to live.
Yep.
So, Mr. President, I hear what you're saying. I hear you. I will acknowledge that you are correct. There's bad governance in Puerto Rico. The government, you can say the governor sucks, the parliament sucks, the state legislature, whatever you want to say. They borrow too much money. They can't pay it off. It's a mess. That aside, that does not mean that the millions of Americans that live in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, don't forget them, deserve to suffer because of bad governance by elected leaders.
Sure. I mean, listen, Donald Trump is the President of the United States. He is an elected public servant. His job should be, when this kind of crisis happens, he says, listen, I know that there are a lot of infrastructure issues. I know that there are a lot of financial issues in Puerto Rico, but these are our citizens, and we're going to do everything in our power to take care of them, right? Instead, what you've heard from him is, we've got a bad financial crisis. Things are terrible. We got to get out of here. They're on their own. They got themselves in this mess. They can get themselves out. These are his citizens. What do you say to that?
Well, that's my point. I mean, the idea that so we can't keep FEMA here, that doesn't make any sense to me. What we saw George Bush do is he's like, we are going to keep people there as long as possible until we fix it.
Yeah.
Right? FEMA is still in Texas. Yeah. FEMA is still in Florida.
Yep. I mean, I don't know why Donald Trump I mean, let's be real here, folks. This is definitely, you know, a subtly racist thing, right? I mean, Donald Trump, for whatever reason, seems to think that Puerto Rico doesn't matter. Like, it's pretty offensive. I don't know.
I mean, I just don't understand. Like, FEMA has been in Texas for the past month. You don't see him saying, we're not going to keep FEMA in Texas forever.
Florida's got a terrible financial crisis. We're getting out of there.
Yeah, but when it comes to Puerto Rico, he could be like, yeah, let's get him out. I mean, it's sort of, it's sickening.
I mean, well, what's really interesting, and I think, unfortunately, for better or for worse, something that Donald Trump has really mastered is this idea of lying, knowing that people aren't going to check the facts, right? To the average American who's maybe not that informed, when Donald Trump says, FEMA's down there, they're doing a great job, they're like, oh, good, let's move on with our lives. And unless you dig a little bit deeper, you find out that people don't have water, they don't have electricity, the sanitation situation is a nightmare. And this is all happening while Donald Trump is saying FEMA did an amazing job.
Mind you, and the president, when he went to visit, he didn't leave San Juan.
Yeah,
he was in San Juan for the whole time.
Toilet paper at people and paper
And that's
towels.
not where the problem is. San Juan is actually one of the places where things are almost, they're not back to normal, right, but they're closer to back to normal than anywhere else. But if you go to other parts, like you go to Homeland, you go outside of the main, the capital city where their most resources are, what you end up finding is utter devastation. I mean, you see, it's one of the CNN reporters, Leila Santiago, she was like, there's one town, there's only one road to get there, and yes, FEMA came and unblocked the road, but she says, but then there was a flash flood, and the road got blocked again. So now no resources can get through. So now they have to bring another crew in to unblock the road, right, so that the resources can get back in. But in the meantime, in between time, the people on the other side of that road, they're running out of resources. They're running out of water. They're running out of food.
I mean, this is a nightmare, right? Like, I mean, just put yourself in the shoes of these people in Puerto Rico, right? Like, these are people that when they are most in need, you think, my government is here for me. They're going to take care of me.
They pay taxes.
I pay taxes. This is exactly why we pay taxes. And you're sitting there and the help's not coming. What does that do to the confidence in this group of people in their government?
I don't think that, but I honestly don't believe, I mean, sadly, this is the first, I mean, I've never ever in my life, mind you, I'm young in comparison. Most presidents, even Republicans, even Democrats, they try to expand their base of supporters when they get in. This is the only president that I've ever seen.
He's narrowed it.
It's like, I'm only going to focus on my base of supporters. Like, he's done no outreach to try to say, like, I'm going to try to outreach to African Americans. I'm going to try to work with them. I'm going to try to outreach to Hispanics. He's like, no, I really don't care. I'm going to try to reach out to the people, the white people that voted for me. I mean, period.
He definitely doesn't want to do another 4 years.
I mean, he might, but I mean, I just don't.
I don't think he wants to.
Like, he's like, I'm just going to reach out to the white people that voted for me. If you're a white person that voted for me, that's it. Like, but if you're not, I really could care less about you.
You're right.
And his language speaks to that.
No, there you have it, folks.